So we're going to talk about file formats, beginning with the file format that's used in 2013, which is OpenXML. It was introduced in 2007. The macro-enabled workbook, the two options that we have for saving a workbook as a web page, the tab and the comma delimited format, the PDF and XPS format, and finally there's a couple of different formats that are compatible with prior versions of Excel. So we're going to look at a number of different file formats. And the easiest way to save your file in a different format is to go to the Save As dialog box, and you can get there by pressing Alt-F-A and then left-click Browse, or press B for that matter. And this is the Save As dialog box. The default workbook name is sitting in the file name, Book 1, but you can call your workbook whatever you want to, following the naming conventions of the workbook, and there's a limitation as to space as well. But the default file type is the Excel workbook. This is the 2013 workbook format. That's the OpenXML extensible markup format that was introduced in 2007. I click the drop down and you can see there's a whole bunch of different file formats that we can select from. The default OpenXML has some benefits because it tends to be smaller in size for the same quantity of data. It's easier to recover your damaged files because the XML file format can be loaded into a text editor, and the details of the OpenXML format was released to the developer community by Microsoft to enhance its compatibility. The second type, and we can see there's actually a couple of different macro-enabled workbook types, but they're all fundamentally allowing for some code that's embedded in the workbook called macros to function. If you don't enable the macro, it won't be able to execute its code steps, and it won't do what the designer intended for it to do. There's some security concerns around macros, which we'll get into in later movies, and we'll get into macros in later movies as well. The next format that I want to talk about, and there's two different varieties, is the web page, and right above it, the single file web page. Both of these allow you to save your file and then subsequently open it up in a browser, a web browser. The single file web page was developed by Microsoft, and you may have some compatibility issues saving your file in that format. So for the time being, the better option between these two choices would be the web page. There is a tab delimited, which is a text file, and a comma delimited, comma separated value, CSV, that's what that stands for. Both of these are similar in that there are files that contain records that each data point is separated either by a tab or by a comma. You can save your files in Excel in these formats, and if you have that format and you're trying to load it into Excel, you can also do that as well. And we'll show you how to do that in subsequent movies. The next two options that I'm going to talk about are the PDF, the portable document format, and the XPS. Both of these options are similar. They allow you to share your content with somebody that doesn't have Excel in sort of a hard copy format. These are common file types, at least the PDF is, and you've probably seen these before. You can open the PDF up in Adobe Acrobat, which is commonly available in virtually every computer that you probably have used. Finally, there's a number of different formatting options that enables you to save a 2013 workbook in the format that is compatible with a prior version of Excel, whether it's the 97-2003 version or the 5.0 95 version. With those two options, you should be able to get your workbook into the hands of somebody that has a working version of Excel that isn't any older than what those two options would cover. So those are the main file formats. We talked about the OpenXML format that was introduced in 2007, the macro-enabled format, about the web page formats, the two types, about the tab and comma delimited, about the PDF and XPS format, and finally, two options that we have to make your workbook compatible with prior versions of Excel.